welcome to this episode of What's Happening Waupaca. I am Joni Kern. We are talking with Officer Sam today. We haven't had you on the show before, so welcome to our show, Officer.
Thank you. It is my first time, and it's good to be here.
You are, just to introduce you, you are the school liaison. You work at the Waupaca High School, correct?
I actually work in all the buildings in our district. I work at the chain school, the Waupaca Learning Center, the middle school, and the high school.
Oh, okay. So what is your job with the students and the teachers?
My job is to be a liaison between the police department and the school district and with the kids, the teachers.
So what do you find as a liaison, what do you find are the benefits of that?
I enjoy working with our younger kids, especially at the WLC or the chain school. They're very optimistic. It's a nice way to, in a sense, recharge your batteries after dealing with some of the more serious issues that we in police work have to face.
Not only that, but you get to know the kids. So the kids are not seeing you as the bad cop kind of thing or someone that can't be talked to. You're actually creating a relationship that will grow throughout the years.
Absolutely.
True. So we have you here today, Officer, because we want to talk with you about Halloween trick-or-treating tips, because that's coming up in not very long, and we want to make sure that we stay safe.
Absolutely.
And we want to make sure that we get as much candy as we want.
Absolutely. The kids want to make sure they're getting all the candy they want. The holiday is coming up soon. We know people are going to start decorating, and parents are going to start purchasing costumes for their kids. So we thought this would be a good time to address this, trying to get out ahead.
Sure. So let's talk about costumes first. Are there costumes that I should be avoiding as a trick-or-treater or somebody? I mean, whether it's a child or an adult, is there something I should be avoiding that isn't safe or is going to invite trouble?
Absolutely. I would encourage brightly colored costumes. Brightly colored costumes are more visible to our drivers and to our fellow pedestrians, because we are going to have a lot of kids and adults out on the sidewalks. We want to make sure, if let's say our kid wants to be Batman, where that's a dark colored costume, we should either have them wear the glow necklaces or wristbands, use glow sticks, flashlights, or we can even add some reflective tape to our costume or to our candy bucket.
And we want to have costumes that are easy to move in and are not really physically constraining, correct?
It's important to make sure that your child's costume fits appropriately. If it's too long, trim it. That way they don't step on it and other people aren't stepping on it. I would encourage also the use of face paint or makeup as opposed to masks. Masks are very limiting to our children's visibility, and they may not be able to see the bump in the sidewalk or the car coming before crossing the street. If we do wear a mask, some of them come with the see-through material that cover up their eyes to kind of add effect to the costume. While that is cool, I would encourage parents to remove that because it limits visibility. Most masks are made of rubber, and if we have to, we should be trimming the eye holes larger for more visibility for our kids.
All right, so now I have my child safe for trick-or-treating. How do I make sure the candy is safe, or the treats are safe, or they're in a safe neighborhood? I mean, how do I make sure that they aren't going to get hurt?
Absolutely. I would say if your kid is the age 12 or younger, you should definitely go out trick-or-treat with them. This is a nice neutral holiday. It works for kids, adults. If they are old enough where you feel that they're able to go out by themselves, make sure they go with a group of friends. Have a designated route and have a return time. Make sure we're talking with our friends' parents, we're getting phone numbers, and if any of our kids are going to be going, make sure that at least one of them in the group has a phone, so if they run into trouble or if we need to get a hold of them while they're out, we can contact them. Okay.
So is there a concern? Waupaca is a pretty small town. I don't think of it as dangerous, but we could get into the dangers that are in Waupaca. Do I need to be doing something with their candy or the apples they receive or something to make sure that my kids aren't getting, because we hear about razor blades and needles.
We do hear about that.
And I don't want to see a kid get hurt by the candy they're receiving. So do you have any tips or for the parents?
I would encourage parents to take all the chocolate bars out and just keep those for themselves.
You know what? That's a great idea. I'm going to do that.
I
That's
think
a great
that works
idea.
well. But in all seriousness, yes, that is a legitimate concern. I would encourage parents to go through their candy, especially for their younger kids when they come back. We're going to throw away anything that's opened, anything that's not commercially wrapped. And I always say, when in doubt, throw it out.
Okay. All right. So that's a good idea. Next, we're going to talk about yard decorations, because Halloween is a big decorating. I have a friend that's Halloween is second to Christmas, so it's huge for her. How do we make sure that our decorations, or what should we be doing when we're thinking about putting out yard decorations?
Absolutely. Halloween is my favorite holiday. I do like to decorate. One thing that we want to do at home is make sure that we're keeping our walkways free of electrical cords, anything that could be a trip hazard. We're going to want to make sure, if we're using the paper bags with the candles in them, because I like those myself, I know they're quite popular, make sure we're putting them on a sturdy surface, make sure we're properly weighting them down so they don't blow over and catch fire, and make sure that we are checking on the candles. As the night goes on, the flame tends to get higher, and you run more of a fire hazard risk there.
Okay.
I would also encourage lighting the walkways. That way they're easier to see for our trick-or-treaters.
And that's not a bad idea. And solar lights, especially this time of year, are all on sale. So getting some to run along the walkway helps all year long, for especially in the winter when we have guests over and it's dark at 4:45. It's a great way to just make sure that even outside of the holidays, the people who are coming to or from our house are safe.
Absolutely.
Okay. We want to talk about driving with our trick-or-treaters.
We do.
Now, this is something that I've always kind of thought, because we have a lot of people now take their minivans or their cars and they drive alongside the sidewalk with their kids. Is that a good idea?
No, I would say it's not. That's going to be distracting to other drivers, and it's going to cause additional congestion on our roadway. If we are using our vehicle to transport trick-or-treaters from one area of town to the next, make sure that when we're traveling, we're wearing our safety belts. We don't have any other distractions going on, whether it's a radio. A lot of cars now have in-car movies with the TV screens in them. And we also want to make sure that when we do get to where our destination is and we're going to park in a designated area, I would encourage the use of our parking lamps. What I mean there is turn off your headlights, but leave your running lamps on. Headlights can be distracting to other drivers that are out there, and they may not see you as you're exiting your vehicle. I'd also encourage you to use your flashers.
Okay, so is this something where I should really just think about parking my vehicle and walking with my kids from house to house? Because you could do, if you plan a route, I mean, you can do a whole route and plan it and end up right back where your vehicle was parked in the first place, right?
Absolutely, and you said the key word there, walking. If we're out on the sidewalks, there's going to be a lot of kids and adults out. Make sure we're walking, make sure we're paying attention. And yes, if you do plan your route correctly, you can start and end up right at your vehicle.
Sure, and then I know my kids are safe because I'm with them. Because if you have and the popular costumes, there's a bunch of them that we're going to see a ton of them. And if I'm walking with my young child, especially if, like you said, they are under 12, then at least I know I am right there instead of, just trying to keep an eye on them when I'm driving. Because if I'm keeping an eye on my kids, I'm not keeping an eye on where I'm going, right?
Absolutely. I tell parents I encourage parents also to take a photo of their kid in their costume. That way we have it for our scrapbook. And also the most common thing we see during the Halloween season is kids will get lost. And although they're never in any danger, it's a big assistance to us at the police department for you to be able to show us a photo. This is my kid. This is the costume they're wearing. If we have 20 Batmans out, but your kid has the reflective tape and the glow sticks, they're going to stand out to us, and we can see that from the photo.
So what is the single biggest danger, do you think, Officer Sam, when a child is out trick-or-treating? Whether it's something that we've talked about or not, what is the single biggest problem or danger or challenge of trick-or-treating for Halloween?
I would definitely say that it's when they're out walking and when they're near or crossing a roadway. Always, always, always use the sidewalk. Never walk alongside the road. And when we're crossing, never assume that a driver sees you. Wait until they stop. And just because the driver to your left may come to a stop, don't assume the driver on your right is going to follow. We always need to make sure that either there's no cars coming or all traffic is stopped. West Fulton Street is very busy. It's a 4-lane street, so we need to make sure that if the car nearest the curb stops in our lane, the one in the lane towards the center of the road is going to be able to see us as we're crossing and also come to a stop. This is where flashlights, or they're becoming popular now, the electric camping lanterns that run on D-cell batteries, those are very helpful too when crossing the street.
So the biggest thing is, when I bring my kids trick-or-treating, I need to make sure that I'm being safe behind the wheel.
Absolutely.
And being respectful of all the other drivers that are out there.
Absolutely.
Or if I don't have kids, don't be driving when they're trick-or-treating.
Mm-hmm. I say it's kind of like in the winter when we get a snowstorm. If you can stay off the road, do. If you have to go out and about, leave early, drive slow, and be alert.
So is there anything else that we want to talk about today? Anything else that you can think of that you might want to add to our conversation about?
Here in the city of Waupaca, we'll be having trick-or-treating on October 31st from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay, so it's, I haven't looked at a calendar. Is October 31st a Saturday?
It's a Sunday.
It is a Sunday, so it's
Monday. Sorry.
It's a Monday. I haven't looked at October calendar yet. So it's a Monday evening from 5 to 7, which means that you are saying that there should be no trick-or-treating any other time before, after that, or any other day. Right there. We really need to keep it from the 5 to 7.
I would say if we want to, and make sure that your kids are going to want to go see grandma, they're going to want to see aunts and uncles. I would do that outside of the time window. That way we have that 2 hours designated for going from house to house. Sure. That way we're not rushed.
Sounds good. Thank you, Officer Sam, for joining us today. It was a pleasure meeting you.
It was a pleasure meeting you as well.
And we will have you back because I like talking about kids and challenges and schools and officers and how they play, how the role works together. So we'll see you again.
Absolutely. I look forward to coming back.
Good. Thank you for joining us for this episode of What's Happening Waupaca. We'll see you next time.